The Morning Drive is sponsored by Power Metallic. To find out more about the company, please visit their website at powermetallic.com. Follow the Money Investor Group is a 100% Indigenous-owned company and certified with the Canadian Council for Aboriginal Business.
Peter.
How you doing?
Pretty good, sir. Well, what's going on with the company, man?
It's a bit, this will be a big year for us. You know, like if we look back last time we spoke, right? So we go back to 2023, we basically had 11.5 million revenues, 7.5 million operating profit, and then last year we had 5.5 million essentially revenues and just under 2.5 million operating profit, and which is a drop, but but the reason we did that is we could clearly see what was happening in 2025, and so there were 3 upgrades we really wanted to do, and so you want to get those upgrades done before you're really busy. So we did that last year. So we kind of we automated the milling, the entire mill, where our flotation system, like we kind of have like tablets like this. Mm-hmm. And so the mill manager runs that, like if the chemical balance isn't perfect, we get alarms, and he'll be able to adjust the chemical balance and the frothing agents from essentially like a cell phone. And that's really important because it increases recovery, right? Because ultimately you want to have a high recovery. And then the second thing we did was we installed a large separator, like gravity separator. Yeah. And then the third thing is we, swapped a bunch of motors, and because ultimately we're probably looking towards an amendment into our permit to double or triple our capacity, including our tailings facility, because the mill is going to be full this year. So like we're thinking over the next, from let's say April to April, April 2025 to April 2026, somewhere between 60 to 110 million revenues. So it's a big jump up.
Wow.
Yeah.
Give me a 3 to 5 minute, the 3 to 5 minute pitch on what your company's doing, so that if someone new, a new investor is watching this.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, so we have 4 key parts to the company. So the first part is, which is what we're extremely excited about, is the copper asset, right? And it's the highest grade copper asset in the history of North America. So, or I shouldn't say asset, highest grade copper mine in history of North America, and we're doing exploration on it. And what makes it really unique is that there are very few projects in the world that are doing exploration but actually have the mine permit associated with that project. So this is a permitted mine, because I come from the buy side, and so I invest in other companies as well. And when people come in to ask me to invest, I always have 2 questions, and that's the start. And if they don't answer it well, I have no interest. And the first question is, do you have your mine permit? And the second one is, how is your relationship with the First Nations or the community? Because you need both to move forward, quickly. And so that's the one. The second is our silver mine. We own a fully permitted silver mine off the Cawker. And then the third is the mill. And the fourth is kind of related to the third, but we have a mill that processes gold and silver. It's the only mill in British Columbia that is permitted to process material from anywhere in the province.
Did you say gold and silver?
Yeah, we process gold and silver. So we have an agreement. So we have a partnership with partnership with HUSIF Development. Then last year, Talisker, and we expect this year Talisker as well. They've got a great project in Braylorne. Blue Lagoon. So Blue Lagoon recently announced that it had received its permits. And the 2 largest shareholders of Blue Lagoon are Crescat and Nicola. So we're able to allocate, because of our cash flow, into other projects. And the fourth project that we're actually really excited about, and this is like what's the cost is we announced that we just received our bulk sample permit for the Dominion Gold project, which is in northern BC.
Yeah.
And so if you ask, what is the estimate per ounce because there's three components. The components are mine, transport, and mill. All in $450 an ounce. Canadian. So Canadian, yeah. Because it's at surface. And we will start that production in July. So if you look at, okay, how does the pipeline look for 2025, 2026? We'll be commencing with Talisker in April. Then in June we'll commence with our project that we own. So it's not a partnership, but we'll commence production or extraction at Dominion Gold. Then July we expect Blue Lagoon to start up, and then the mill's full. And so now we've got this steady state of production, and that's able to fund us for everything. We're expecting around an 18% profit margin. So, and it's a tough market. Like,
Yeah.
it's tough if you're always raising money
Yeah.
for the same project, and you don't want to be in that position. And that was always our plan. It was to get out of it. Yeah.
Yeah. What's the net asset value?
It's a great question, but mining is really complex. And I'll give you one example. So if you're doing exploration drilling, so when you do exploration drilling, people capitalize the drill costs onto the balance sheet. So what you see is, they spend $10 million drilling, and then they capitalize it so that the asset value is worth $10 million.
Which is not really accurate.
Which is not really accurate, but when you go into production, you'll take that asset value and we wrote our silver mine down, and remember, it's a fully permitted silver mine. And we wrote it down to $1. So the point is that asset value is quite deceiving. So I would look at it this way. If you were to say what's the asset, the value of the assets that Nicola have is, I'd actually even start with the question, well, what's a permit worth? What's a mine permit worth? Because to get a mine, to do your environmental impact study, your feasibility studies, all these studies, consultation, all of that will probably cost a company around $50 million in British Columbia to get to that level. So it's not cheap. So we have...
So by your valuation, for every project that has that's a $50 million valuation.
Well, that's probably what it costs to get there.
Right.
And so we've got a mine permit for the copper asset. We've got a mine permit for the silver mine, which had $40 million of infrastructure put into it. We could reopen it, but it's written down. Our mill has $35 million investment, to build it, and $9 million to buy it. So that alone is worth, the capital value of that is worth well over 40 million, but we don't have it on our books at 40 million. And and I remember investors would say, well, you've got a lot of assets. And my response, because my background is debt, right, and distressed debt. So I would always say, well, having an asset that's not being used is actually a liability.
Right.
Because there's maintenance costs.
It's not productive.
Yeah.
What would you say is a near-term catalyst potentially for your company?
I would say that the production and the copper discovery that we're working on. So the market isn't really aware of where our revenues are going. So once we get there,
and then let's just rewind that again. Last year's revenue, $2 million?
No, that was operating profit. So last year's revenue, 2024 revenue would be about $5.5 million.
Okay.
And then, over the next 12 months, starting April, that'll jump up somewhere between, on the low end, very low end, over north of 50, and the very high end would be closer to 100. Now, why the big range? It's because grade is, and like projects can start up, you get a bit of a hiccup, they're down, because these are Talisker and Blue Lagoon are just starting their mining operations this year, and our project at Dominion is quite easy because the gold's at surface. So, but that's why I have that range.
Forward-looking statements.
Yes.
Just got to put that in there. It's in the disclaimer, but those are some interesting numbers. So I just want to let people know these are forward-looking statements. That's pretty significant, Peter.
Yeah, no, like I
that's-
mean, we've turned the corner. I've always said to the market, like, this is what the plan was. Now, things get delayed in mining. It's just part of the industry, and the ministries move slow, and it's unfortunate. Like, when you hear in the news, well, the government is there to support mining, they're not hiring new permitting specialists. They're hiring more inspectors. And so,
Yes.
so it actually makes it complicated. So you'd almost want to say, stop hiring.
Yeah.
Just let the inspectors give the permits, or not the permit specialists give the permits out, rather than having more inspections at every time you do one step.
Well, we're headed into the departures here for Air Canada. I think it's been a really good morning drive.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And I got you here 2 minutes ahead of schedule.
Awesome.
Pretty happy about that when you're battling GTA traffic. I wish we could do some more stuff, Peter, because you're so insightful for the entire community, mining community, and I kind of look at you as a thought leader, not just someone who runs a good company, and one that I think my wife and I own shares in. So,
Yeah.
So I'm biased. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Again.
Follow the Money Investor Group is a 100% Indigenous-owned company and certified with the Canadian Council for Aboriginal Business.